Hello, everybody, wherever you may be. That's my little nod to the late, great Bill Schonley from the Portland Trailblazers. I'm Doug Zanger, editor-in-chief, Indie Agency News. I am so happy, and I got a new little it's called a Roadcaster. So I'm still working a few things out on this. So I'm excited about this new tech, but our guest who I'm bringing on here shortly, I just want to make sure that he can hear me. So a couple things here before we get cooking with our friends at OKRP in Chicago. Memberships, they are open. They are live. They are a good thing, that helps us stay member-led. That's the goal of Indie Agency News. We simply want to be a member-led organization. Will there be advertising? Sure, but it'll be very different. It'll be stuff that you want to see, stuff that's going to be helpful for you and for your agency. So advertising goes a little bit differently here, but we want the vast majority of our existence to be member-led. So go to indieagency.news. You can learn a little bit more there. Currently very proud to have about 6 corporate members and a nice little handful of individual members. Individual memberships start at $10 a month or $96 a year. And we are here to serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. And we're getting our sea legs with this. We're definitely getting our sea legs. We've definitely tried a few things. The thing we love, Meet an Indie Agency, always fun, and that's every Wednesday. And we're doing more. One of which is Indie Work Live. And here is the thing. So I was an editor at Adweek, and I loved and love covering creativity. It's one of the lifebloods, one of the most important lifebloods of the work that we do. And it was great covering it. And there are some really great people covering it in the space. And I encourage you to follow them and to support them. That's, your Tim Nudds, your Brian Benias over at Ad Age. You've got Kyle O'Brien, Kyle O'Brien over at Adweek, Jameson Fleming over at Adweek. You got the folks at Campaign, The Drum, and everywhere in between. Where I saw an opportunity, and we saw an opportunity, was to talk a little bit more about the work. But again, we want you to support all of the trades. We would be grateful for your support as well. But Indie Work Live is a little bit of a passion project of mine. So we're going a little bit more in depth, and we are going to Chicago. Oh, there's 2 of you there. So that title doesn't work. So we're going to do this in real time. Let's just put OKRP. There we go. Matt and Ben, how are you, gents?
We're doing well. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining. Now, remind me where you came from prior to OKRP.
We've had a lot. Yeah, so we've worked together at 2 previous agencies. We were most recently we came from Leo Burnett, where we were CDs on Wingstop, Knob Creek, Basil Hayden. And before that, we were not officially partners, though we did work on a lot of things together at Goodby Silverstein in San Francisco.
That's okay. So when were you at Goodby?
I was there for 3 years and change, starting in 2017.
And when were you there, Ben?
So I was there like a year or 2 before you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. You don't forget a last name. I think our paths crossed at some point, when I was either at the Drum or at Adweek. I want to say that paths may have crossed. I was like, why do I know that name?
Yeah. So it's definitely it's like a name you won't remember, but you won't forget because it's too long to really keep track of. But
all right, so if you were a Hollywood actor, what would your stage name be?
I think Matt has a good name for Hollywood. It's like it's a little alliterative,
right?
Yeah, it's nice.
So I'm good for Hollywood.
Yeah,
it's got a radio name for sure. So, but Ben, what would your stage name be?
Oh God.
Let me just put you on the spot. We're all creatives here, so let's put everybody on the spot.
Yeah, I feel like Ben still works. Is like, no, it doesn't. That sucks too.
No, Ben's fantastic.
No, I need something way more powerful. I like Ben doesn't.
Benjamin.
Ben Powerhouse.
Yeah, but it's like, like
I would call you Benjamin Stone. That would be your stage.
Ben Stone is actually quite because
It's a solid name.
Ben is a little soft, but there's no arguing with Stone.
Right. And I will just say that name floated to the top of my head because my kids and I watched Doc Hollywood last night, and that was Michael J. Fox's character in that. All right, let's move on to the business at hand here. We're going to talk about Metro. I'm going to play this first spot. Sure. So there's two English spots, one Spanish spot. So the game show spot, that's the most recent one, correct?
The game show spot is from the social folks. That is not us.
That is not you. Okay. I just wanted to confirm. So that's okay. So I'm going to play the first one, and then I want to talk a little bit. I want to dig in a little bit into some of the nerdiness.
Sure thing.
So we're going to watch this and be right back here.
Yeah, with Metro, there's no contracts, no price hikes, no surprises. There's not a yada yada.
Wait, Metro has not the contract yada yada?
Nada yada yada.
What's this surprise yada yada? Price hike yada yada. Yada 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 yada.
Contract yada yada.
And this yada yada.
I don't know, kid. That one makes sense.
Nada yada yada means wireless without the gotcha. No contracts, no price hikes, no surprises. Only at Metro.
All right, so here's what I want to unpack.
Yeah.
And that was a corporate term, by the way. Sorry. This is a wildly competitive category. And when I say wildly, that is vastly understating it.
Yeah.
I want to start with the brief because that's where everything starts. And I'm curious to understand what the brief was, what the approach was, and how you landed at this point.
Yeah. So I think, one of the really interesting things as we got into this pitch and learned more about the category is, as you said, it is wildly competitive. And historically, it's been a lot of folks saying like the same thing or at least mirrored images of the same thing. Like what's their lowest possible deal or their best possible bundle. And a point of view that our clients had a great desire to be a little more breakthrough, a little more memorable, a little more salient, as all clients do. And a thing that we as an agency talk about a lot, and our Chief Strategy Officer, Nate Swift, talks about a lot is giving folks, something to buy into, something to believe. And I think that kind of those points of view combined allowed the brief to really call for a brand level belief and a brand level statement, not just product level beliefs and product level statements. And we can dive into deeper how we formed that version of why Nada Yada Yada is the answer to that. But I think that's kind of how the brief elevated out of just a pure competitive set and into a little bit more of a brand point of view ask.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, as a reminder, Metro is a T-Mobile label.
That's right.
And T-Mobile is known for being aggressive, but also fun. I think and it's interesting. So I teach at Portland State University, and we went through an exercise of looking at all of the insurance brands, and going through each of them. So T-Mobile has a personality, Verizon has their personality, AT&T has theirs, et cetera, et cetera. So from your point of view, what makes it easier to create, knowing that you have a strong brand personality in T-Mobile, but then also saying, all right, well, this segment of the industry, this segment of this category is wildly competitive. Go ahead.
I think for us, like very much every organization that you're going to work with has a culture, right? And that's true. But I do also think that it bears pointing out that like ultimately Metro is its own brand. I think, as I understand, it's the largest in the category.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things that contributed to the same brief that Matt talked about was that, for us, like when we got into the RFP process, when we started getting to know these clients, they talked a lot about what Metro was. And I think like any, circumspicious agency that wants to make a difference for a client, we went out and did our own research. And so I think, T-Mobile certainly has its approach, and we love that brand, and we love, how this is part of it and the expertise and capability they can bring to it. But at the same time, we went out and just asked regular folks, a lot of whom use Metro, what they thought of the brand. And I think that they found, or we found, I should say, a brand that had its own culture, which I think is really particularly predicated on, being a human organization. They have thousands of stores nationwide. And for the most part, folks who are on prepaid are walking into those stores monthly to pay and re-upload their phones. And so I think, it was this perspective like, listen, it is a competitive space. It will be a competitive space, and we will do ultimately competitive work as well, which is awesome because creatively it's fun as shit to do.
Right.
At the same time, I think we're also a brand that we want to be human and available. That's why we try to make this campaign feel like conversational speech. And ultimately, like, we built all of the RTBs and all the material for this out of, what in research and strategy ultimately presented itself as like, this is how the consumer feels about our brand and what they want from the category.
Right. Which is one thing that a lot, and again, going back to teaching students, like the one thing that's interesting. So I agree. Metro has, established a nice place already, and that was built over many, many years. I do think it's interesting that, and it's a huge plus that customer service side of it is so strong. There are competitors in the space that don't necessarily have that. It can kind of feel like the Spirit Airlines of, but talk a little bit more about, because that when you go out to the consumer, and everybody does this, every agency does this, every agency does that sort of research. But one thing that I'm hearing and that I'm noticing is that it's not necessarily as much feet on the ground, face to face. It's looking at data, it's looking at social feedback. But it sounds like that what you did is classic, which is something that isn't extremely beneficial, legitimately talking to the customers. What did you learn during that process? I mean, obviously, Ben, you touched on that a little bit, but why is it so important to not forget that that's what matters most?
So I will say that OKRP in general is an agency that I think loves getting into the work, like getting into the task of what's at hand. And as a result, during our pitch, we had like 25 of us all went blindly to different Metro stores and interviewed customers, signed up for plans. Our strategists were continually visiting other stores as well as competitor stores. You got to learn and talk to those folks as well. And I think one of the main things to me that was a great piece of learning is I think there's a lot of stigma around prepaid connectivity, and people presume that if you're using a prepaid plan, it's either because you don't care about technology, or you're like not super into the internet or whatever. Like, people have all these grandiose ideas of like, oh, if you use that, you must just not care about internet or something. And it's just hilariously how inaccurate and untrue that perception is. And in fact, the people who make up the people who use these plans are incredibly literate of all these things. And it's just, in fact, a reflection of not wanting to be stuck in a long-term contract, or not wanting to have to pay for excess features that they don't use. So to me, that was an eye-opening thing, because I think data would have you feeling like these choices are made specifically for finance or specifically for cultural preference. And in reality, it's not that. I don't know if you have any.
I mean, I think that Matt's absolutely right. Like, these are not. There's a joke that Matt made as we were going through this process. We refer to folks who are on postpaid contracts, which, walking into this pitch included Matt and I. Matt realized he had 2 Hulu accounts
for like 3 years.
And so we came up with this notion, strategy came with this notion of like contract zombies, like folks who said, forget it. Listen, like, advertising is a white collar career. We all make, a pretty easily livable wage. And so we are folks who can go out and buy a postpaid contract and not worry about if the price fluctuates, adjusts, or changes. This consumer can't.
Right.
So they're not dumbasses because their lives depend on it. Their circumstance depends on it. So Matt's absolutely right. Like, these are people who know their shit, and we just focus on trying to be really clear. And I do think, Matt and I became customers of Metro during the pitch process. We walked in and spoke to them. And I do think there's a little bit of a strategic approach that, listen, we want to be factual, we want to be accurate, but at the same time, we want to live a brand and we want to be part of it. And I think, going out and interacting with the stores and actually having employees walk us through and go, yeah, this plan's great, but honestly, I think this one's a better deal. Like, the straightness and the plainness with which with us was just like, all right, well, this feels like the thing to build around, because as we go in the market and tell that story, ultimately somebody, if they choose to be a customer, is going to walk into that store, they're going to become a customer, and that person is going to be the realest representation of that brand. That sales rep is going to be the realest representation of that brand. So we felt like this story was true to who those people are.
Right. I'd like to read a little something first before we touch on this. When was this posted? Dear Jason, we couldn't help but notice your recent move into the wireless world. Welcome to the party. We're big fans. And by the way, we love the beard. We're honored to have you join us, and we're especially flattered by you spreading the word about our Nada Yada Yada campaign. With over 19 million customers, we're already kind of a big deal as the leader in prepaid. But hey, we're not about to turn down some free advertising, so thank you. The thing is, we think you missed some important facts about what sets Metro apart, so we want to set the record straight. Bullet point 1. In your ad, you say you need a 4-person squad like George, Jerry, Elaine, and Kramer to score our sweet $25 unlimited rate. That's some yada yada. At Metro, you get $25 with just one line when you bring your phone and number. And because we're anti-yada, let's be super clear. It's $30 just for the first month before the autopay discount kicks in. Metro customers get access to the nation's largest 5G network from T-Mobile, the full 5G network. Visible makes you buy a more expensive plan if you want their full 5G. Details matter, right? Next bullet. When you join Metro, you can also get a free 5G smartphone, something some other providers don't do. Next bullet. We aren't invisible to people like some providers are. We have thousands of Metro stores nationwide, so you can drop in and chat with one of our knowledgeable and friendly experts in real life. Next bullet. In case it wasn't clear, at Metro, we're all about wireless without the gotcha. When you join Metro, there's no contracts, no surprises, and no extra cost for 5G. There's nada, yada, yada. Listen, Jason, next time you're in the neighborhood, literally any thousands of neighborhoods, drop by a Metro store and let's chat about keeping these things simple, predictable, and transparent and wireless, because we can all agree that life is better without the yada yada. Love, your friends at Metro. P.S. You're aware that Visible is owned by Verizon, right? Because they're like the masters of yada yada with stuff like this, this, and this. Just saying. I mean, kind of can't get better than that.
Yeah, it's a really funny moment in time. I think, I don't want to, this is not the first time that Matt, I, or this agency, or any of the creatives that we have here have created work that has stimulated the market in such a way that another competitor feels like they need to be involved. We're flattered that they decided that they wanted to go out and get Jason Alexander. Clearly our work has affected the marketplace enough that our competition feels they need to start spending to keep up.
And to anyone who's unaware, is that reference is from Metro responding to Visible, who made an ad with Jason Alexander to sort of co-opt the Nada Yada Yada platform, which, as Ben said, is hilarious and an honor. We made up a phrase as a belief. Like, I think the thing about Nada Yada Yada, which I'm sure we'll get into, but it is a fun way to say something that actually means something serious. And to see another brand hire a celebrity to put in their spot and use the phrase is delightful. I love that.
Right. No, that's good. And Tony Lee, this is Doug's radio voice. So there you go, gents. Consider that my audition. I want to move on to the Spanish version. So let's go ahead and play it.
Yeah.
En Metro no hay contratos, ni aumentos de precio, ni sorpresas. No hay nada de bla, bla, bla.
Ah, ¿quiere decir que no hay nada de carreta?
O sea, no hay nada de descuentos, como cargos ocultos.
Exacto. En Metro no hay cargos ocultos. Entonces nada me den cabra.
Ni nada de rodeos.
Oh, entendí. En Metro no hay nada de babosa.
Así es, en Metro no hay nada de bla, bla, bla.
Nada de bla 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 es servicio móvil sin trampas, sin contratos, sin aumentos de precios, sin sorpresas. Solo en Metro.
Yeah, a little shift of the vernacular.
Yeah.
Because yada yada doesn't necessarily translate in Spanish.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we tested it, and we heard resoundingly that it is non-Spanish speakers doing Spanish. They were like, no. And I'll say, like, we love that spot because the whole spot for non-native Spanish speakers who may be listening, the conversation that folks are having is all different ways to say nada yada yada. So like in a word where you might be like, oh, nada yada means like, oh, no more tricks, no more bullshit, no more XYZ. Those are all different pieces of different native Spanish vernaculars saying how they would say blah, 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 or yada, yada. Or and as we tested and with our Spanish-speaking team members, native Spanish-speaking team members, that was a conversation we had the whole time of like, well, if you were in Mexico, you would say yada, yada this way. But if you were in Colombia, you'd say it this way. Or if you and we thought it made enough sense to just make a whole spot that was about all these different subsets of Spanish-speaking culture coming together and articulating it. And we loved it. It was really well received, and it was a thing that we were very happy about. As soon as the team who brought it forward was like, yo, I think we've got a good way in on this, we were like, love that.
Well, and obviously it's, any audience is not necessarily a monolith.
Yeah.
And so huge hat tip for mixing it up for sure. I mean, you can say the same thing. It's like if it was English, different accents, different,
regional, you might have a different colloquial phrase in Florida than you do in Maine or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Maine, they talk a little slower. So your 30-second ad would turn into 2 hours. So you want the wireless phone that? And the long pause. Well, good luck with that. To all of you in Maine, I'm not sorry because I'm from Portland, the Oregon one. Tim Nudd from Ad Age is gonna give me grief on that. For sure. No, that's really, really cool, and that's very, very insightful. So, we start with the platform, we start with campaign, we start with the work, and we're in the age of the, I think it's the year of mobile, gentlemen. I think we're finally in the year of mobile after these many years. But social clearly playing an important role. And I want to play this first TikTok video because I like the fact that they put such a nicely sized elephant in the room. I'm going to play this and then I want to talk a little bit about it.
I sold out to a major wireless brand. Metro by T-Mobile is paying me thousands of dollars just to tell you that they're against all the yada yada of other wireless companies. And to remind you, at Metro, they have no contracts, no credit checks, and no surprises, aka nada yada yada. That's it. That's all they wanted me to say. Now watch me have an existential crisis about doing an ad. I've monetized my passion, but at what cost? Is this why I got into comedy? Am I happy with the person that I've become? Should I start filming an apology video right now? Will my friends and peers still respect me? At least my parents will love this. This is me taking a good hard look at myself in the mirror. I can't believe they approved this. Thanks for watching. I hope that means they'll think this is successful.
Okay, clearly I don't know how to work the platform here, so we were just kind of showing up in the background.
It was cool. It was cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just, you get to see our reactions. Ooh, ah.
Yeah.
But that was good. I mean, you put the elephant in the room and influencer marketing, I have some opinions about it, but I thought this was such a good way into it.
We really like it. I think, we've had a lot of fun on social. The work that we have done to date, the work we are presently doing, we're really happy with, and it's been a really fun and interesting part of this campaign. I do think, whether it's an influencer, a spokesperson, it's like we looked at all that stuff, and I think as we developed our opinion of the campaign, it was that, we just, as we stated before, are very impressed by this consumer. They're not stupid. They're very intelligent, and they're very intelligent to being marketed to. That is a thing that especially at our agency, we talk about all the time. Like, advertising is largely a coercive medium. We spend money to force people to look at it. No one wants it. We make them see it.
Right.
And so I think if you can't tell a honest story through that, you know, if you're buying a celebrity to lie through their teeth on your behalf, it might not damage your brand, but you're an idiot if you think people can't tell. So,
right.
You know, when we got out there and we said, okay, you know, obviously influencer creator marketing is going to be a component of playing in the social space, we were very interested to do so in a very plain and clear way. Tom Feld is somebody that we all at this agency follow and like. His existential commentary on the world and jobs and everything is so funny that we were like, this is the perfect guy for this, because we want everyone to know when we're spending money with somebody to show it to you, we're not afraid to admit.
Yeah, and if we haven't put a fine enough point on it, just for anyone who doesn't have all the context, like to us, nada yada yada really just means see me, value me, respect me. It's a way of saying, like, don't lie to me, don't trick me.
Right.
It's a fun way and it's a silly way, like it's a silly phrase, but it has that sort of serious meaning. So when someone like Tom Fell, like Ben was just mentioning, enters the conversation, you're like, oh yeah, well, this is a person who believes in like being incredibly plain spoken. And kind of articulating a feeling beyond what you might otherwise expect someone to say. So it felt like a really fun fit. And obviously he's a super funny dude, and that video shows that. But yeah, it felt like a good match.
I mean, it's got like a quasi mullet going there.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. Yeah. I can sympathize. I'm wearing my hat, my Phillies hat. So there you go. Let's take a look at another, and I'm going to try another layout here. So the experimentation continues. Let's try this TikTok video, and then we'll talk a little bit about it. I think we're still going to be on the screen. So bear with me. Speaking of Mr. Tech, here we go. We're going to give this a shot.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Britt. Here's how I hack my phone bill every month in 12 easy steps. But first, guys, I need you to like, comment.
Yada, yada. He should have just twisted Metro. No contracts, no credit checks, no surprises.
Well, once again, I botched it. So I use this platform called StreamYard, so clearly I need a tutorial on video. Tell me a little bit more about that one.
Yeah. So like that influencer's this guy named Hates Yoon, and that's kind of his whole thing. Is he duets these videos, or he cuts himself into videos that feel like they're overcomplicated or taking the long way around, and then he just provides the most sort of dead, blunt, simple answer. And so a team here had a great idea to like create a sort of faux, tech influencer. He's going to be doing that at the beginning of the video, doing that really sort of like over the top bit, and then boom, just cut it off with the most dry, deadpan, faced facts delivery as we could, which again feels like it's got that sort of nada yada yada ethos to it. So it felt again like a nice way to add variety to, and a more ways to say the simple message of nada yada yada.
Yep. We have a few comments online. I'm going to put this. I'm going to put these up so you can see what they are. Bernie Williams, senior social strategist at OKRP. LOL. Okay.
The agency loves the work.
Okay.
Thanks, Bernie.
Yeah, that's one. Britt Williams, junior copywriter. No. I don't know what Britt is referring to.
Well, Britt wrote that, so hopefully he's not referring to his own.
Oh, he just deleted it. Okay, so he just deleted his comment. Oh man, talk about the team though, because it's interesting. You guys are in Chicago. Friends with Mark Gross for years, and you think about Real Men of Genius. You think about some of these things that are either hold on, mistype. I meant to say yes.
There you
go. There you go, Britt. I was like, what are you saying no to? Okay, you want the Marv Albert version of that?
Really foundational error as a writer to make.
Yeah, it's just a quick mistype.
Yeah, as someone who started out as a copywriter, I would say like yes and no are slightly different.
We're very lucky though, Doug. I mean, our team rules. We feel lucky every day. I think I'm sure we both could talk unendingly about it. I think one of the things we have been and remain exceptionally proud of is this is a really naturally diverse team. Ben and I have both worked at agencies. I'm sure a lot of us have. Agencies where Spanish work and English work are kind of split, and Spanish work kind of gets treated as othered sometimes, where they'll be like, well, let's just translate one of the English scripts. That was a thing that we were adamant we did not want to do and didn't like. We wanted to instead build a team that had representation of native Spanish speakers and native English speakers, and we all treat all the work with vigor and excitement. And,
we don't really work in separate streams. I think it's especially on the subject of talking about indie agencies. I think for us, we've talked throughout, and as we built this team and went out and recruited folks for it, whether it's the CDs, Avi and Ricky, or some existing employees that we had like Allison and Jose, really everybody on the team, Koa, Britt, Rachel, everybody, as we built this, we talked about like, we are not a large enough agency to insinuate that our diversity is a packaged product that we sell to our clients.
Right.
If we want to be diverse, we need to hire
and be diverse
for diversity, and we need to put the people in charge to do it. And I fully acknowledge that as we say that, Matt and I are two white guys. But I think as we built out this team throughout, and with the existing staff that we had, it was 50% of the media budget is Spanish language. The audience for the product is pretty even thirds, Black, white, Hispanic. And, so for us, it was like, we really wanted to just try to embody that in the team that was there, and not necessarily go, great news, we bought this agency that does this thing, or we built this team to come in on these projects. From the minute that we heard, nada yada yada worked better as nada de blah 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 in Spanish, it was like, okay, this is going to be how we work. We're just going to let this work happen and let the leaders represent it.
Well, and there, but my peer group knows this, and I've spoken about this publicly before, and I believe in this. I was in radio for 15 years. Clearly, that's why I sound like this. But 5 of those was in hip hop and R&B.
Sure.
And this was early in my career, so I was very, youngish, like 30, 29, 30. But we were a really incredibly diverse team. And what you just said is exactly what happened back then, where it's, you bring your thing to it. Yes, there's 3 white dudes sitting here, but our responsibility is to do exactly what you did, which was to ensure that there was authenticity and you were giving your teams a chance to thrive. And so the other piece of this is that during my time, and so it was the best work I've ever done, really, quite frankly. I mean, aside from this show that we're doing, clearly, but I learned so much. I was doing incredible work. We were #1 in ratings, #1 in revenue. The work was better, and I was able to learn a lot, not just about diversity, but think about hip hop for a minute. It is one of the uniquely American art forms. And I got a chance to nerd out on it and to learn more about it. And it made me a better creative. But that was all hardwired in. So people who know, like, I can be a little bit of a pain in the ass on diversity. So, but I give you both a lot of credit, because it is really important to ensure that you're not necessarily just getting the work, but that's going to make you better. That's going to make both of you better.
It's absolutely. I think OKRP has been, one of our core values is that diversity defines our creative process. And we mean that in the big ways that you're imagining, racial, gender, age. But we also mean it in like the macro mini, with like the types of foods you try, the music you hear, the way you get to work. Like, you really do have to expose yourself to new thoughts and new perspectives, new people, new things, to continue to get better and expose yourself. And it's been the best. I think we're really proud of the team that's assembled here on this business, and everyone's really leaning in. Everyone got Spanish classes. We all have, on Thursdays we go to Spanish class. Yeah, it's sick. Like, it's been a blast for all of us to improve, not only as advertisers on this account, but just as folks who work together. Like, it's been a great couple months so far.
Yeah, I think it's been wild. I mean, the level of nuance that you get in having a diverse team, particularly, you made a comment about one of our Spanish language spots that like there's not a monolithic experience of Latinx folks. Like, so, we have team members who are Mexican, Venezuelan. We have team members who are American, born, but have, family in diaspora and then family back in Mexico. So like, I think as you work through the work and you realize that like that audience is, just to speak specifically about that, is that diverse. If you don't build out your team really well, you miss a lot. And, people talk a lot about, that like diversity is a very important value in what we do and who we advertise to. And they're absolutely right. Not to sound transactional, but it's like such a deeply, it is a immediate competitive advantage. Like the work is immediately better by the presence of those people. And when I say better, I don't even mean just creatively better. It works better. Everything improves. We improve. Our clients improve. The more you give power and agency to folks, the more it benefits everybody. So,
Amen. Me, choir, you, preaching. All right, we've been on here long enough. I could sit here and talk to you all day. Well, you guys are doing the BK stuff too. We'll figure that out another time. My kids love they love where you've gone with that, by the way.
We say the same thing that we say to everyone, which is thank you and we're sorry.
Oh my God. One more time though. I think hold on. We just got to put Brett back up there. Mistype. I meant to say yes. That's one of my impressions. Marv Albert made money doing that years ago. So
very good.
Yeah. So here's what I will say. Well, kudos, number one. Secondly, so many great independent agencies in Chicago, and our friend Tony Lee and I have been talking, and I think we should do we need to do an indie agency news get together in Chicago. And I think that I will legitimately time it for the winter because I love winter in Chicago. I'm originally from Minneapolis. So
I'm from Minnesota too. I'm from St. Paul.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Where?
You should Highland Park, but you should be wearing a Twins hat then. I don't understand.
No. My family is from outside of Philadelphia, and I went to middle school and high school there. So no, I'm a huge.
Never too late to switch. We're going to beat the Astros. It's going to be worth it, I promise.
Please, for the love of God and baby Jesus, beat the Astros, because I'm also a Mariners fan, being here in the Pacific.
I'm going to put them in the trash can that they banged.
Yeah, exactly. Please do. But we will have some plans to go to Chicago. It'll definitely be in the winter. But Matt and Ben, thank you so much for doing this. This is one of the things that I love doing the most, and I'm glad that we had a chance to catch up and talk more about this campaign, because the beautiful thing about it is there's so much more than what people see on the screen, than what they read, than what they see in social media. And to understand that strategy and to understand how it all connects is really important. So thank you both. And I'll have you stay here as I thank everybody. I'm just going to take you on here. If you have some work, and we do have another indie work coming up this Friday, getting the old calendar here, we are going to be doing we have the back market work that's going to be coming up. Sorry, it's Thursday the 12th. Back market with the agency Gus. If you're not familiar with back market, make yourself familiar. There will be a quiz. If you are an agency or a brand that has work that you want to share with us and you want to talk about it, go to indieagency.news. You'll be able to get in touch with us there. And again, thank you so much to these gentlemen from Chicago. And on behalf of all two of us from Indie Agency News, thank you. And we'll see you soon.